But for the rest of the city, they might not realize how important this is, that normally and traditionally when it's rained, it's been a problem for people that lived in this neighborhood.
Yeah, anytime the wash flows with any velocity at all, we have to close the gates and shut the road down, which means that there's only one way in and out, and that's across the railroad tracks. So if a train is blocking the tracks, it makes it difficult, for the emergency vehicles to get in and out. So having a bridge over the wash means that there'll be 24-hour, constant access into the subdivision for those people that live in Santa Rosa Springs.
So after the girders are installed, next it's time to hit the deck, right?
Next time is to hit the deck and finish up the bridge.
If they haven't, people haven't seen in a little bit, we've got some images of the progress on the parkway itself. Tell us a little bit about what's happening over there.
Most all the curb and gutter now has been formed and placed along both lanes, eastbound and westbound, for the 2-mile stretch of the parkway. Beginning May 8th, we'll start paving on the eastbound lanes, and that should take probably about a month or so to finish the paving work on it. And we're still on track to get the project opened up to the public by the end of the summer.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Kerry, for giving us that quick update. Maricopa, hopefully that keeps you informed. Stay tuned to the communications channels and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to get the latest information. We'll talk to you soon.
At the crossroads of his passion and his profession, Maricopa resident and Deputy City Manager Ben Bitter found his lane in NASCAR.
It's an adrenaline sport. It brings that extra boost of adrenaline.
While thousands of fans cheered from the stands last weekend at the Phoenix Speedway, Bitter found himself down the track as part of a pit crew. It's a job he's done before, but this race was a little extra special for Bitter and for the city of Maricopa. All thanks to Car 48 and Bitter's passion to always tout his Maricopa pride off the clock. Its driver Brad Smith and Bitter go way back when Smith found out Nissan's proving grounds were in Maricopa. They came up with an idea to use Smith's car as an engine to pay homage to the city.
Let's put the logos on the car. Let's make this something special and something that the citizens of Maricopa can be proud of.
Sponsorships are a big deal in the racing community, and companies pay big bucks to have their logo on a car. This was at no cost to the city, just out of the goodness of Smith's heart.
In order for these drivers to run it all, to be able to afford much of anything within the racing world, they have to have those sponsors.
Though Smith didn't place where he'd like to, Bitter says Smith's gesture may have helped Maricopa's pole position in the eyes of the area and country.
We are moving fast, we are going places, and we're not just going to slow down and pull aside for other people. We're moving forward.
He hopes a few more people will make a pit stop in Maricopa as a result.
Welcome back to the program where the questions are answers and the answers don't stop. It's Maricopa's favorite game show, Permit or Not. I'm your host, Luis Vila, and I'd like to remind our viewers today that if you have any questions regarding any of the categories today, please leave them in the comments below. Now let's take a look at the board. The categories today are City Services, do I need a permit for that? What's being developed? City Events, Library, and Roads. Bob, why don't you lead things off for us?
Thank you, Luis. I'll take a, do I need a permit for that, for 200?
I would like to pour a slab of concrete in my backyard. Do I need a permit for that?
What is no? That is correct. Slabs or pavers in your backyard are up to the owner's discretion. However, any work being done in the front yard, you'll need to contact your HOA.
I'll take permits for 600.
My pool needs to be drained. Do I need a permit for that?
Yes. I mean, what is yes? What is no?
That is correct. Pro tip, if you're looking to drain the water in your pool, you'll find 2 black water conduits in the front of your home.
Hey Maricopa, I'm Quinn Knoll, the Communications and Cultural Services Director. We're here today taking another look at the bridge that's going across the Santa Rosa Wash. This is part of the Sonoran Desert Parkway project, and I'm joined here by Carrie Osborne, the CIP Project Manager. Carrie, as you've been overseeing this, it seems like we were here just a few days ago or a couple weeks ago, but man, in a short amount of time, there's been a lot of changes here. Tell us about this stage that we're at.
Sure, Quinn. We've made quite a bit of progress. Since the last time we were here, we were working on the abutments and the center pier for the bridge, but now we've even started to install the girders. We've got about half of them in place right now. We have 20 of them to install total. They each weigh about 90,000 pounds, so it takes 2 cranes to lift them and to put them into proper position. After we get those installed by this weekend, then we'll begin to do the formwork and build the deck, which is what people will actually drive across. That'll be our next step for it. So we're well underway to completing the bridge over the wash.
Now, people that live in Santa Rosa Springs, they know the importance of this, but for the rest of the city, they might not realize how important this is, that normally and traditionally when it's rained, it's been a problem for people that lived in this neighborhood.
Yeah, anytime the wash flows with any velocity at all, we have to close the gates and shut the road down, which means that there's only one way in and out, and that's across the railroad tracks. So if a train is blocking the tracks, it makes it difficult, for the emergency vehicles to get in and out. So having a bridge over the wash means that there'll be 24-hour, constant access into the subdivision for those people that live in Santa Rosa Springs.
So after the girders are installed, next it's time to hit the deck, right?
Next time is to hit the deck and finish up the bridge.
If they haven't, people haven't seen in a little bit, we've got some images of the progress on the parkway itself. Tell us a little bit about what's happening over there.
Most all the curb and gutter now has been formed and placed along both lanes, eastbound and westbound, for the 2-mile stretch of the parkway. Beginning May 8th, we'll start paving on the eastbound lanes, and that should take probably about a month or so to finish the paving work on it. And we're still on track to get the project opened up to the public by the end of the summer.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Carrie, for giving us that quick update. Maricopa, hopefully that keeps you informed. Stay tuned to the communications channels and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to get the latest information. We'll talk to you soon.
At the crossroads of his passion and his profession, Maricopa resident and Deputy City Manager Ben Bitter found his lane in NASCAR.
It's an adrenaline sport. It brings that extra boost of adrenaline.
While thousands of fans cheered from the stands last weekend at the Phoenix Speedway, Bitter found himself down the track as part of a pit crew. It's a job he's done before, but this race was a little extra special for Bitter and for the city of Maricopa. All thanks to Car 48 and Bitter's passion to always tout his Maricopa pride off the clock. Its driver Brad Smith and Bitter go way back when Smith found out Nissan's proofing grounds were in Maricopa. They came up with an idea to use Smith's car as an engine to pay homage to the city.
Let's put the logos on the car. Let's make this something special and something that the citizens of Maricopa can be proud of.
Sponsorships are a big deal in the racing community, and companies pay big bucks to have their logo on a car. This was at no cost to the city, just out of the goodness of Smith's heart.
In order for these drivers to run it all, to be able to afford much of anything within the racing world, they have to have those sponsors.
Though Smith didn't place where he'd like to, Bitter says Smith's gesture may have helped Maricopa's pole position in the eyes of the area and country.
We are moving fast, we are going places, and we're not just going to slow down and pull aside for other people. We're moving forward.
He hopes a few more people will make a pit stop in Maricopa as a result.
Welcome back to the program where the questions are answers and the answers don't stop. It's Maricopa's favorite game show, Permit or Not. I'm your host, Luis Vila, and I'd like to remind our viewers today that if you have any questions regarding any of the categories today, please leave them in the comments below. Now let's take a look at the board. The categories today are City Services, do I need a permit for that? What's being developed? City Events, Library, and Roads. Bob, why don't you lead things off for us?
Thank you, Luis. I'll take a, do I need a permit for that, for 200?
I would like to pour a slab of concrete in my backyard. Do I need a permit for that?
What is no?
That is correct. Slabs or pavers in your backyard are up to the owner's discretion. However, any work being done in the front yard, you'll need to contact your HOA.
I'll take permits for 600.
My pool needs to be drained. Do I need a permit for that?
Yes. I mean, what is yes? What is no?
That is correct. Pro tip, if you're looking to drain the water in your pool, you'll find 2 black water conduits in the front of your home. One of them leads directly to sewage. Plug it in and you're ready to begin draining. However, you'll need to contact Global Water first, as the pool water needs to be of a specific pH level before you can begin the draining. That's all the time we have for today. Be sure to tune in next time to Permit or Not, and until then, feel free to visit www.maricopa-az.gov for all of your questions regarding city events, permits, and more. Or leave us a comment below and we'll be sure to get back to you. A lot of people have been wondering just what's in store for this big plot of land. And after the overpass opened, it's become a popular topic of discussion for many investors. Well, we're happy to share that preliminary designs have been submitted for the new Maricopa Station and is slated for mixed-use development featuring space for a variety of businesses and homes.
Right now, Maricopa businesses miss out on millions of dollars in retail sales as customers shop outside the city. And this development is just another important piece of the puzzle to keep those dollars here, benefiting our businesses.
This is the first set of potential developments that we hope to see more to come within this area, because this is just a small portion of the totality of about 40 acres, which is only 27 acres that's being proposed. There's still 20 acres south of Honeycutt Avenue that hasn't been spoken for. But this is great news for the city to see some interest now as we start seeing more development south of the overpass area. The shopping center is proposed for about 180 to 200,000 square feet of retail in itself. But keep in mind that this is still just a pre-application. There's nothing set in stone at this time. These just has potential developers that's interested in the land in response to the city's recent rezoning of the land from what it was before, Pinell County zoning, industrial and some commercial, to now a shopping center type zoning that gives it more flexibility and opportunities for this type of development pattern in itself.
Another milestone moment for the new Maricopa Police Headquarters. Over the weekend, crews poured the foundation for the future home of our men and women in blue. This administration building and emergency communications center will accommodate the force that will continue to set the bar on safety for Maricopa's rapidly growing population. Here's another sign of our growth. It's time for a new traffic signal on Smith Inc. The road was just widened to 2 lanes last year, and already with the increase in traffic in that area, our Public Works team identified the need for additional safety measures. They just got to work installing a 4-way traffic signal light at the corner of Chase Drive and Homestead Drive. The project is scheduled to be completed later this year. For more news around your city, be sure to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to our weekly newsletter at maricopa-az.gov/newsletter.
Everybody good? Good? Thank you for being here tonight. We're excited that you all are here. The room is full, and that I can't ask for any more than that. That's really awesome. We are here tonight first for the special city council meeting of June 20th. At this time, we've called this meeting to order, and that'll take us to roll call.
Councilmember Gettle.
Present.
Councilmember Learman.
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi.
Different buttons. Present.
Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Vidiello.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Vanessa. At this time, we'll move to that special meeting, and we start off with a public hearing first. So I will open the public hearing. I don't have any special speaker cards, but if you are wanting to approach the podium and talk to City Council about the proposed budget that we're going to be making a decision on tonight, please approach the microphone. Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, do you have any questions on the budget for tonight? Yes, Councilmember Gettle.
No questions specifically, Mayor, but just my gratitude. I think our staff has done an amazing job putting this package together this year. We've met several goals that we've laid out as a committee, as council. We've been able to lower our taxes. We've been able to increase our spending on our public service and safety. So I'm very pleased with what we put together. So thank you to staff for their hard work, specifically to Matt and his group of team. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilmember Gettle. Any others like to speak to the budget? All right. I will just also offer my appreciation to City Manager and staff. I speak often about how proud I am of the city's finances and our budgeting process. We budget less than our means, which how many cities or government entities do that? I would say very few, and we do, and because of that, we accumulate a reserve that we can use on capital improvement projects and not raise property taxes by building those capital improvements. So it's awesome all around, and I certainly appreciate the effort that the city manager and staff put into it. So I, again, thank you very much. It's very appreciated. So given that, do I have a motion? So moved by Councilmember Wade, seconded by Councilmember Manfredi. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And that completes the special meeting. Thank you for coming. No, just teasing. All right, that'll move us on to our regular meeting of June 20th. At this time, we'll call that meeting to order. We will have first the invocation by Pastor David Anderson, and he is from B Community Church. And then we will have our invocation by Vice Mayor Vitiello. Please stand if you're able. Oh, excuse me, Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry.
Grateful for who you are to us. We thank you, Father God, for the leaders that have dedicated themselves to provide direction for our city. And we pray, Father, that you will continue to give them guidance and insight into the direction to go and the things to do. Father, we also pray for our city, and we thank you for your word that says that we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. And in this time of separation and in this time of individualism and judgment, we pray, Father, that you would just overrun the hearts of those citizens in Maricopa with love, that we will continue to love and have patience with one another. Father God, continue to watch over our city and keep us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pastor Anderson and Vice Mayor Vitiello. That'll take us to roll call.
Councilmember Gettle.
Present.
Councilmember Learman. Here. Councilmember Manfredi. Here. Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Vitiello.
Here.
Mayor Smith.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Vanessa. That'll take us to proclamations and awards and presentations, of which tonight we have no items to discuss, so we'll move from there to the report from the mayor and city council. City council, I'll turn it over to you if you would like to have something to share. Yes, Councilmember Wade.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to recognize and acknowledge the efforts on the 2 Juneteenth activities that took place here on Saturday, one at the library and the other at Global Water. I'd say that there was a lot of effort that was put into the programming, a lot of time that was spent trying to put together quality programs, and our community did just that. It was educational for the event over at the library, and it was both educational and entertaining at Global Water, as well as I noticed throughout the country that there was an abundance of information in reference to Juneteenth. There was abundance of activities that took place throughout the country, and it was nice to see that those efforts that had been put before for the community were not in vain. So I offer my appreciation to the creators and the organizers of the different events, and I'd say that with the efforts that have been put forth, we have a good group of people who are focused on making sure that everyone finds out about what's going on in our community. And I'm hopeful that next year it'll be even bigger and even better than it was this year. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade. Any additional comments? Yes, Vice Mayor Vitiello.
So the mayor asked me to be on the radio this weekend, and I got to tout the city of Maricopa for the 3rd annual flag football tournament. 32 of the finest schools throughout the state came here to Maricopa. We had hundreds of people at the park playing flag football, and I got to be on 98.7 telling everybody how great the city of Maricopa was. It turned out to be just maybe a 4 to 5 minute. It turned into 15 minutes because of my wonderful charm and talking about our great city. Thank you, Peg. No, it was an honor to do it. I appreciate the mayor allowing me to do that. I do have a son-in-law who coaches the Mountain Point team. So it was great to have this 3rd annual, and they love coming down here. Again, 32 teams from around the state come here every year, like I said, the 3rd year in a row, to play this flag football tournament. It's pretty huge. So not only is it just about flag football, but it's about economic development. Our restaurants were full, and people were talking about our city, and they just touted on the radio over and over again, even after the interview, which was amazing, that the city of Maricopa gets this every single year, and they love coming down here because we have some of the greatest fields in the state. So thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to do that and honoring our city.
My pleasure, and I appreciate you doing that. He told me that I'm no longer available to do that particular gig, that he's going to do it from now on. But anyway, I'm sure he did a really great job. All right, anyone else like to provide any comments on their past 2 weeks? Okay, so please oblige me, as I wasn't able to speak at the last city council because we had some communication issues. So I just want to go over a few things because transportation is so important in the city of Maricopa. I want you to know all of the things that are happening. So I, along with some other council members, attended the West Pinal Maricopa Transportation Open House. This is a study that's going to provide a transportation plan for our entire general plan area so that we'll have foresight in terms of what transportation we want to put in place in the future. The resulting document will be out in the spring, early summer of 2024 is when that study. And there will be another opportunity for another community involvement, so we'll make sure via our newsletter that you're aware of that as well. And then myself and some members in the audience attended both the May Arizona State Transportation Board meeting in Gilbert and the June Transportation Board meeting that was in Florence. Now, the fun part about the May Transportation Board meeting was that they presented and approved their 5-year plan for projects that are on their ADOT 5-year plan, and Maricopa has 3 that are on there. And so you're probably familiar with all of them because we talk about it all the time, but the Rig Road overpass is on that plan, slated for construction in 2025. Signalization at Casablanca and the Cement Plat Road is a project that was just recently, we received funds from the Arizona legislation this year, and so they'll be looking to figure out how quickly they can incorporate that. And then State Route 347 from Smith Inc. Road all the way to the northern portion of the city limits is on there also, and you'll see that later this year start as a project. It's come along that far, design is almost done, and it will require our patience, trust me, trust me. So then I want you to know that we have a district member on the Arizona State Transportation Board. Her name is Jenny Howard. She actually took the time to come out to the city of Maricopa. She did a tour with Katie and Ben and myself and just loved it because it gave her a feel for what the transportation needs are, and especially those that are associated with what the Arizona State Transportation Board governs over. So she walked away with a lot of great information, and I really appreciate that. And then also we had I had two meetings with Director of MAG. He's a brand new director, Ed Zerker, And the first meeting was with Pinal County, the cities that are part of MAG. We met to help him understand how important the transportation projects are that fall within their MAG region for Pinal County are. And then we also had the director and a couple of his staff members out at the city to discuss our needs, primarily State Route 347. So we talked a lot about ideas in regards to continuing to move that forward. I just want to close with one comment that was made yesterday at a Pinal County meeting. 3 years ago, this is really important to me. I'm sure it's important to all council members and past council members. 3 years ago, we had 0 dedicated to State Route 347. We now have upwards of $80 million designated, and that's money that I can tell you exactly where it is. The Riggs Road is about $50 million. The 2 intersections is $18 million, design is $6 million, but then we also have, if Prop 400E passes, we have the northern portion of 347 for widening, that's on their plan, and then the I-10 widening actually has the Queen Creek overpass in it. So 3 years ago, we didn't have any of this, and today, so you can see progress is being made. Yes, it all takes time, but the fact that we now have funds that we can point to and projects that we can point to me is exciting and really good progress. I also attended the Flag Day at Veterans Center, and I bring that up because it was just delightful to see our veterans raise the flag with such pride and make comments in regards to such pride for the United States flag and how we need to really respect it, and it was just a pleasure to see these veterans in action. And then the ADOT Town Hall, which was for the road safety analysis. You see a pattern here? We're just getting lots of attention from ADOT and MAG, and this is really good news. They were here, and we had a nice room full of people who asked great questions, and they took away some action items for the ADOT folks. And those documents and the video of that meeting are posted on the website. And so that's all I have. Sorry, it's all transportation related except for the flag ceremony, but to me it's good to keep talking about it. And so that's your report from the council and mayor. Very good. That way we'll move to the report from the city manager. Seeing nothing from the city manager at this point, we'll go to the call to the public. At this time, I do have one speaker card for the call to the public. And basically, when I call your name, come forward, you'll have 3 minutes. And then for those that didn't fill out a speaker card, if you would like to approach the podium, you certainly can. Let me let you know how this works. The procedures to follow if you address the council are: council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about a city employee, a federal citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. At the conclusion of the open call to the public, individuals of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, the members of the council shall not discuss, take legal action, or any matters during an open call to the public unless the matter has been properly noticed for discussion. So my first speaker card is Dr. John N. May.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. It's been a little while. And the city manager. I'm Dr. John, this is May. We represent Kids Day Maricopa. It is health, safety, and environmental awareness for kids. There's usually about 100 activities, and we try to get into everything and anything you could possibly imagine to educate kids in a fun way. We have 3 things that we ask of them. We say that they have to teach kids something, it has to be fun and interactive, and they can't sell anything. It's a completely free day so that there are no obstructions. They just go in, they learn, have fun, and hopefully we can save some lives and things, you know, so the kids don't do drugs and what have you.
And 16 years ago, our mayor at that time proclaim that in the third Saturday of September is Kids Day in the city of Maricopa.
And that was actually Anthony Smith.
So here we
You know
are,
him?
16 years later, trying to do our best to help our children make better decisions, better choices, and it takes all of us. And be the inspiration. You just never know what you might say or do to inspire or change their lives.
Yeah, and we have police there, fire there.
Special guest, Smokey Bear.
Smokey Bear.
We also have returning Anthony Blakes with the Harlem Globetrotters. He'll be there.
It's
Oh,
just,
and Sparky.
what's it?
Sparky's
Sparky's
going to
gonna
be
be
there.
coming
We have
this year.
snow cones. We have free toys, free food. Everything is free. We just want them to have a great time and knowing that everything we do is to inspire them and help make a difference in their lives and our community.
and any business out here could contact us. You can call us 520-494-7788 and let us know if they want to participate. We welcome anybody, within reason, and we give them rules, like what we told you. It's at Maricopa Middle School. It's September 16th this year from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. I don't know if you want to add anything.
I just want to thank everyone, all of our city council. They've had important parts of Kids Day for many, many years over the last 16 years. Thank you. Bicycles, volunteers. Couldn't be able to bring Kids Day together if it wasn't for our whole community coming together, all of us volunteers, just really make a difference. And I just want to say thank you. And save the date.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
John and May.
Thank you.
Appreciate
You're
that.
Thanks
welcome.
for letting us share.
Thank you.
All right, those are the speaker cards that I have. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Yes, I see some coming. You're going to sing? Yeah. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, charming Vice Mayor, Council. Peg Chapados from Maricopa Friends of the Arts, here with other board members tonight, Susan Cameron, our chair, B. Wallace, and Crystal Ojon, and May Tallwing, and also Councilmember Learman. We want to talk tonight about our second annual fundraiser, Taste the Arts, and this year our focus is on young artists, middle and high school age kids. Our goal for 2023 is to raise $10,000 that can then be awarded to area high schools and arts programs of all types for middle and high school kids to further enhance their arts objectives. We're also going to have young artists, young performers, and maybe even some young chefs at our event. It's Saturday, September 30th at Global Water from 6 to 8 p.m. We have sponsorship opportunities. We'll have handmade centerpieces from our local artisans that we'll then raffle off. We'll have some delicious food, some wine tasting, and a few surprises. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. 60. Yeah. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Seeing none, I'll close the call to the public. That'll take us to the consent agenda. At this time, we'll move to the consent agenda, item 7.1-7.15, and I would like to pull item 7.14 for the regular session, so we'll move that down there. And that, do any other council members, Vice Mayor, have any additional input for the consent agenda items?
And make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda minus 7.14?
Minus 7.14, thank you.
By Councilmember Gettle. Seconded by Councilmember Marsh. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. That'll move us to the regular agenda item, and as I indicated, we'll first go to item 7.14. And we don't necessarily have a presentation, but what we have in front of us and what is available on iLegislate is and I'll just hold it up just so you can see, it's a one-page document that talks about all committees that we have within the city. And it takes the place of a 6-page document and a 2-page document and provides for a lot more flexibility in regards to how we operate committees and what we can do with them. And so it definitely simplifies the process. And I have a couple comments, or actually just one change that I would like to see. On D, item 1, it says agenda topics should originate by council direction. And after further discussion on how this line item was created with some of the staff members, I believe it should say goals should originate by council direction in an open meeting setting or as recommended by council liaisons. So I think it's confusing when it says the word agenda topics, because that makes me think of every week agendas. So I'd like to change that to goals. And that's the only change that I have. Does anyone else have any additional changes or comments that they'd like to make? Yes,
Mayor,
Councilmember Gettle?
Yeah, thank you. Some of our committees will have multiple liaisons from council. Is there any preference in the plural in some of these instances? For example, I'm looking at section C, number 4, members will meet as determined by the city council liaison and the chair. Should we make that a plural in some of those cases?
Yes, I have that actually and
Thank
missed
you.
it, but yep, I would agree with that. So item C4 should be council liaisons.
And there's a number of them sprinkled throughout that ordinance that we should look carefully at.
Okay. So we'll look at making that change throughout the 1-page document, moving it from singular to plural. Any additional comments? Yes, Councilmember Marsh.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused by your correction, changing agendas to goals. Could we make it goals and agendas? Because we want them to all agree on the agendas for the individual meetings. These are public meetings. They are agendized.
Mayor, may I speak to that?
Yes, please. I'm considering his question, but yes.
I think the goal is for the committees to set their agendas. Their agendas will follow the prescribed duties and assignments that are yet to be finalized through the processes we're going through. So I don't know that a council member needs to approve their agenda, and that's a responsibility you may not want to have to be burdened with. I do agree with the plural, and I do agree with goals, because at the end of the day, you as council will assign their duties and responsibilities that year based on their input and the futures planning and all those type of things. But I also wanted to add just a little more clarification. The whole purpose behind the adopted ordinance tonight is to provide this flexibility that the mayor speaks to, but ultimately, when each committee defines what its role and purpose is, that will be defined by resolution by committee. Whether they meet once a month or once a quarter or as needed, have 3 members, 7 members, 10 members, whatever those things are, which gives the council flexibility to make changes as they go as needed to meet the committee assignments. And I just want, for those in the audience who may be members of committee, I just wanted to give a little further explanation as to that. But it's up to the council, of course, if you want the council to approve their agendas, but their agendas probably are going to follow the direction and guidelines that you have given to them previously.
So I did have a note. I appreciate that clarification. I think that's good. So I did have a note addressing your thought that goals should originate by council direction in an open meeting setting or as recommended by the council liaisons. Meeting agendas, I wrote this down, meeting agendas should support these goals.
Good.
Would that be acceptable?
I appreciate it, yes.
Madam Mayor, if I could ask an additional question?
Yes.
Would that excuse me, would that open up the possibility for a council member to place items on an agenda, or would that preclude that opportunity by removing the word agenda from that line? I would like the freedom to be able to add items to an agenda.
Yes, I think the way I interpret it, and based on conversations, the whole goal here under section D is to understand that goals would originate from council for the committee as a whole, and the agenda items should always have a focal point of those goals.
Okay, yeah, I'm very comfortable with that.
Okay.
The additional step I would take would be to give us the authority to add additional items to an agenda that we would want to bring to that committee, rather than relying on them to draft their own agendas completely. Does that make sense? I don't think I want to get into the weeds of a day-to-day, weekly agendizing, but there may be some instances where a topic needs to be talked about. And if I had the freedom to add that item to that agenda, that
Mayor
would be
and
very
Council,
beneficial.
excuse the interruption, but
Please,
on the
thank you.
ordinance before you tonight, it says the chair will work with the council liaison to prepare the agenda language. So whereas the committee may put things on the agenda that I think the council probably should not remove unless it's not related, they would have the right to add. If you adopt this ordinance tonight, it grants that right.
Thank you for that clarification, City Manager.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, any additional comments, questions, concerns? Given that, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
And Councilmember Marsh, would you add to your motion the changes made to section D1 in that goals should originate by council direction in an open meeting setting, or as recommended by council liaisons, meeting agendas should support these goals?
Agreed, yes.
Okay, so I have a motion from Councilmember Marsh with that modification.
Also with
And would you modify it to change liaison to liaisons?
Yes.
Okay, so our motion on the table is the comment made on section D1, and anywhere in the document that says liaison, we shall change it to liaisons.
I'll second
For
that motion.
council, okay. Seconded by Councilmember Gettle. Before we go to a vote, I would like to say, based on what City Manager Horst indicated, any changes that are added in regards to our specific committees will be done by resolution. And in setting the first set of goals, we will use a resolution to set those goals for the upcoming fiscal year. And when we adopt this tonight, we have a 30-day grace period, which means that the old code would be in effect until this one takes effect in 30 days. So we would like to encourage the three committees, Age-Friendly, Cultural Affairs and Arts Committee, and the Parks, Rec, and Library Committee to finalize their goals for presentation in a meeting where we'll discuss that and take action by resolution. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I have a, I was going to say proposal.
Motion.
I have a motion to approve by Councilmember Marsh and a seconded by Councilmember Gettle. Any further discussion? As amended, yes, thank you. And so all in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? And that motion carries. All right, so that will take us to item 8.1, which is a miscellaneous item talking about a proposed special election on land sale.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Get my clicker. You may recall that we had a discussion in our futures planning about the topic that we have before you tonight. If I get my chair to move. So I want to work through some slides. And which button do I push again? The green. Oh. So the concept of economic development is defined as a process aimed at promoting the growth of local economy. And when I say local economy, that's everybody, not just the city as a corporate. By applying many development plans and by implementing a set of successful economic strategies that make it more advanced and developed, thus affecting society positively. These decisions are important and vital decisions that raise the economic level in general, as well as improve the conditions of citizens and individuals who reside in Maricopa, which leads to improving the business cycle in general and improving all aspects of life. So the concept of economic development, if there is a lack of an attractive environment for investment and the lack of economic resources and infrastructure, these can be the biggest challenges we face. Now, in our case, we've had this lack of environment for quite some time, particularly when it comes to industrial development. You've recently began to change that, purchasing land and so forth, and that's what this is about tonight. And from this standpoint, successful plans usually take into account the economic barriers. Well, even though now we've bought land, we still have some barriers that we got to work through tonight, and we want to present those barriers to you tonight and some options to hopefully remedy them. And the inability to find and or fund innovative solutions is one of the most important obstacles to economic development. If it's the sit and wait, we're going to wait forever. So this city council has been very proactive. You've taken steps, META, bought land, all those type of things, but yet there's still some barriers that have to be worked through. So the triangle in the blue represents roughly 1,262 acres. There's actually another 400 or 500 acres available that can be incorporated into what we're calling the Maricopa Commerce Park. And as you're aware, the city has recently purchased 230 acres within that property. You will also recall from our futures planning that we have the potential for rail access. We talked about the potential for public-private partnerships. We talked about that our utilities are well positioned to service these areas. You see the dark black line, which represents the east-west corridor. And just to remind everyone also, the state approved funds for Pinal County to do the design for the entire route all the way out to I-10, which is another benefit to us. And this has been proven to be a favorite site by ACA and GPEG and others, and we have a lot of private developer interest. Getting back to the PPP, part of our goal was to find partners who can work with us to help build an industrial plant as a part of that process. So the Maricopa Commerce Park can create jobs, it can improve our tax base, it can aid in business retention, it can promote business diversity and spur additional business growth. It could be master planned for ultimate functionality and located in the fast-growing business-friendly Maricopa. That's one of the things we're just missing. And this next generation commerce park that we have the ability to build will offer a wide variety of site options for businesses of all types and sized to grow and thrive. So this was the plan we presented at the futures planning that we all agreed to, that we would fund a master development study. We've since worked with META, who's agreed to put up $200,000 in a joint venture to conduct that study. We've talked about activating the Industrial Development Authority Board, which is on our books that can be activated. We'll probably come back to you in the next 3, 6, 9 months to do that. We talked about exploring industrial development funding sources to include bonding and grants and public-private partnerships, and then marketing plan, fund and install necessary infrastructure later down the road. So one of our impediments is this ARS 9403, a special election to sell property. Now the city council can decide to spend $12 million to buy property, but if you want to sell it, and if it's valued more than $1.5 million, you have to go back to the taxpayers to sell it, which is a burden, particularly if the guy comes in and says, what do you mean I have to wait till November 24? Or what do you mean I have to wait to this or that? So we have approached twice now the legislature to amend this rule. Both times it didn't make it out of committee. So there are only 3 options. One is new legislation. We tried twice. By the way, we had buy-in from all the League of Cities. We just couldn't get it through the legislature. There's a special election that can be held, or we can become a charter city, which is a whole different set of rules and regulations, and frankly, a lot more intense than what we want to address to solve this problem. On the map, it does not represent all of the holdings of the city, but holdings that we know will exceed that $1.5 million threshold. And so we have to have the electors' permission to sell any of this property. And I won't spend the time on where all these are located, but the large one on the bottom is the 230 acres referenced earlier. So the benefits of selling land for us is prepare shovel-ready site to land job creation companies. We can recoup our initial cost to include what we spent for the land, any infrastructure we put into it, ballot cost if you choose to go forward with a special election ballot to fix this issue, and any marketing cost, and actually create some seed money for future economic development opportunities. So recommended tonight is the city is looking to use the upcoming November election this November for this ballot measure to authorize the sale of land valued over $1.5 million. The benefit going to the vote this December is only one issue on the ballot. It'll be a mail-in ballot. It will allow the master plan and development of lands to move forward. It will allow us to go ahead and look at the possibility for public-private partnerships, because frankly, private industry and private investors are not going to want to get involved unless they have some assurances that they can own at the end of the day. Ability to be agile and able to respond to opportunities when presented. Now, we have had numerous opportunities already, some from abroad, Korean, Japanese, but also local, and we have some opportunities now. So private investment will not come unless investors have assurance that they can purchase and control at least portions of the property. They're not going to invest in roads or rail corridors or any of those type of things or utilities unless they have some assurance. And we can't say, well, get involved, invest, and then we'll just hope it will work out later. And land parcel developers are hindered by the statute. While there are options, they become more difficult with large parcel sales. So at issue is a mail-in ballot would cost us $200,000. That's because of the rules put forth through the state and Pinal County. And that is probably the only negative I can offer, is that it will cost $200,000. So the question is, well, why don't we just wait till November of '24? In truth, we can, but that would give us 18 months of sitting idle, that we can't really move forward. We don't want to take out bonds and invest in infrastructure unless we feel we have a product to sell at the end of the day. So the potential loss of opportunity, plus we already know November 24 are going to be multiple ballot issues, state initiatives, and we don't want that to confuse people. Now, to be clear, this is the right for the city to sell land so we can develop jobs and create economic vitality. No taxes, nothing put on the backs of the citizens except the ability to recoup dollars, to grow the economy, and then invest excess dollars as seed money in future opportunities. And as an example of that, I put here the 227 acres, and it's actually 230, $12 million, $1.22 a square foot. Now, everyone would love to buy land at $1.22 a square foot, so we got in. The master plan development is going to be roughly $200,000. We anticipate potential of $8 million of infrastructure, roads, utilities, perhaps a rail spur, those type of things, marketing cost, and then that $200,000 for the ballot initiatives in here. But on the flip side, if we sell the land for just $250,000, which is probably undervalued based on the investment we will have made on the property, we would sell it and have a surplus of $4.13 million that can then become seed money for future other opportunities. If it's $3, it grows to $9 million. If it's $3.50, it grows to $14 million. So it creates those seed funds and creates job creation and economic vitality. Now, what we have learned is that once we put it on the ballot, we don't have to sell it all at once. We can sell it piecemeal based on, I need 8 acres, I need 50 acres, I want 100 acres, as long as the public approves and it's the wording that we put on the ballot. So the question before you tonight is it worth spending the $200,000, which I would propose that the general fund loan to the project fund, and then the general fund would be paid back with interest as if it was sitting in our pooled trust fund, which frankly isn't a lot of interest, but in today's market. So we would keep ourselves whole at the end of the day. We would create dollars for seed money for other economic opportunities, whether we got to build a road or a bridge or whatever those things are, to make it happen. Plus, we create jobs, we create more tax base, we create more income, which creates more need for markets and stores and all those services. So that's the question for you tonight, is do we venture forward now and get this thing done? Or do we sit and wait till 24 when there could be a myriad of things on the ballots and all this can get blurry and confusing? And depending on the answer to this question is whether or not the next item needs to be addressed or not. So council, I'm prepared to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. In keeping with my theme, what it also does is it gets people off of 347 if we have high-paying jobs here.
Yes, the more jobs we can create locally, the less people have to travel.
Absolutely. Okay, council members, questions, comments? Yes, we'll start with Councilmember Gettle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ricky, maybe you can help me, or Dennis perhaps. Is there an expiration date? If this does go to the ballot in November, do we have a certain amount of time to sell those properties in, so we could hold them for another 10, 15, 20 years until we're ready to move?
We can it's only for the lands that we present on the ballot. So it's not lands that we buy next year or a year after. We'd have to do it again unless we get these legislative changes. But everything, we would probably put every piece of land we own on it just as a precaution. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So everything we currently own, now, we're not talking about fire stations and parks, we're talking about excess lands, okay? Yeah. So, or people don't think we're talking about selling fire stations, but.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Horst. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah. Councilmember Manfredi.
Thanks for the, thank you for the clarification, because that was part of my question, was we'll put all of land that we have so we don't have to come back and do this every time we want to sell a piece of land. And it doesn't mean we're selling all of land at the same time. We'll be selling land piecemeal here and there. The greatest part about this is it allows us to work on the investment that we're looking at of the industrial park south of the tracks there, which we bought the land for extremely cost-effective, cheap. I'll just use the word. We bought it pretty cheap, and we'll be able to sell it pretty cheap, bring in business, bring in industrial business, bring in jobs to the city of Maricopa. And yeah, we should do it today. No reason to wait till 24. We might save a little bit now, but that's, you know, pinching pennies and we're losing dimes, right? So there's no point to wait. Let's get it done.
Vice Mayor.
City Manager, can you go back to the last slide for the money? So you have $1.22 and you have 227 acres. And then down at the bottom of the land sale, you have $2.50, $3, and then $3.50. And you're looking at anywhere from a $4 million to a $14 million. So let's just call it even at $7 million. Sell it. Let's go. Let's put it up and do it.
And I need to be clear, this is based on that 230 acres. Yeah. There's other lands that we would sell at $5 and $6 and $7, not this price, because they're smaller portions. You know, so I want to think, we're not telling the world we're selling it for $1.22, and the value will go up based on the infrastructure we put in and the investment we make.
And I think, oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, if we put the $200,000 in the bank, how long will it take us to make $9 million? Just my point being, okay?
I don't think I can count that high.
Council members? Councilmember Wade.
Yeah, I mean, but the bottom line is economic development is one of our major tenets. And this seems to meet that goal of operating in a responsible manner. So I'm ready to go forward with it, absolutely.
Any additional comments? I want to make it clear, to my knowledge, the land that the city has purchased, we have not ever taken a loss. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes. So we're not looking to buy land and fire sell it for economic development. We strategically picked property that we knew was a good deal, was a great location for economic development, and intended on making money for future development as well. So I want to make that clear. So what I hear from our councilor and vice mayor and myself as well is to move forward with an election in 2024. Anyone in opposition to that?
23.
Make a motion.
23, I'm sorry, 23. Thank you.
And if I could just, as a sidebar, remember this moves the cows out of the city limits. So there are some other additional benefits.
Right.
Can we,
And to be clear, there is a 1-year transition between the cows feeding up to size but as they move out.
Yeah.
So,
Mayor, can we,
Yes.
can I ask a question? Can you move back to the map for a second? I'd like to point to the fact that none of that red is at Copper Sky. So this does not mean we're selling Copper Sky.
Thank you.
This does not mean that we're turning Copper Sky into an industrial development. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
Another comment, I had a great conversation with the previous mayor of Gilbert, and my conversation was centered on, you all know Gilbert Road, right? The mecca of Gilbert and all of the stores and restaurants and theater, and I asked him, I'm like, how did you make that happen? And he said, we very pointedly, as land became available and for sale, purchased it with this in mind. So I think it's a very important element to our strategy at City Hall, with our budget and our finances, to make those types of moves. And I think it's exciting and brings great opportunity for the city. So I think you have your direction.
thank you. And if you could take formal action on 8.2?
I'm sorry, what?
If you can take a formal vote on 8.2?
Absolutely, because we don't have any additional information, right? Okay, so do I have a motion for item 8.2, which is to, yep, there you go. Don't even have to tell you what it's for. Motion by Councilmember Learman, seconded by Councilmember Marsh. Any additional questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. And that concludes our agenda for this evening. Thank you.